Your grandparents had a simple dream. Work hard, get a stable job, buy a house, raise a family. And for most of the 20th century, that dream actually worked. A factory worker could support a family of 5, a clerk could afford a car, and a country could go from poor to rich just by making things and selling them to the world. That's the playbook. That's how Japan did it. That's how South Korea did it. That's how China did it. Work hard, build factories, export your way to prosperity, and in one generation, you transform from a developing country into a global powerhouse. And right now, India is trying to run that exact same playbook. The government has told 4 billion people that by the end of this decade, India will be a $5 trillion economy, the third largest in the world. A developed nation by 2047. Everyone's in. Everyone's invested. Everyone believes. But here's the problem. The playbook they're running, it doesn't work the same way anymore. The world has changed. The rules have changed. And the gap between what the government is promising and what the data is actually showing is getting wider by the month. So in this video, we're going to break down India's $5 trillion bet, why the math doesn't add up the way politicians say it does, and why this ambitious dream could end up creating the biggest economic and social crisis of the century. Let's get started. Section 1. The When It Changed story. To understand India today, you need to understand India in 1991, because back then, India was, economically speaking, a closed country. The government controlled almost everything. You couldn't easily import goods. You couldn't start a big business without a stack of licenses. Foreign companies were mostly kept out. People joked that you had to wait years just to buy a scooter. Then, in 1991, everything changed. India had a balance of payments crisis, almost ran out of foreign currency, and the government made a decision that rewrote the country's future. They opened the economy. They cut red tape, welcomed foreign investment, deregulated industries, and basically told the world, we're open for business. And what happened next was one of the most dramatic transformations in modern history. India went from a tiny economy to one of the fastest growing in the world. A massive middle class appeared almost overnight. IT services exploded. Bangalore became a global tech capital. Millions of people moved from poverty into the working class. Then a new shift happened. Somewhere around the mid-2010s, the government's ambition went from grow the economy to make India a global superpower. Prime Minister Modi set a public target to reach a $5 trillion economy, originally by 2024 to 2025. That deadline came and went. The new target is roughly by 2027 to 2028, depending on who you ask. And here's the key stat. In the early 1990s, India's economy was about $280 billion. Today, it's over $3.9 trillion. That is genuinely one of the greatest growth stories in human history. But to hit $5 trillion, India now has to keep growing at over 8% per year, consistently, for years. And right now, that's not what's happening. The latest projections for fiscal year 2026 have India growing closer to 6.3%. Still fast, but not fast enough to hit the target on time. And that gap between what was promised and what's actually being delivered is where the risk starts. Section 2. The How It Works section. Think of an economy like a three-legged stool. One leg is agriculture, food, farming, rural work. Another leg is manufacturing, factories, physical goods. And the third leg is services, tech, finance, IT, healthcare. A balanced economy has all three legs roughly in proportion, because that's how you make sure everyone has a job and the country can weather shocks. Now here's how India's stool looks. Services make up about 60% of the economy. Agriculture still employs around 45% of the workforce, but only contributes about 15% to GDP. And manufacturing, the leg that's supposed to create tens of millions of stable middle-class jobs, is stuck at around 15 to 17% of GDP. The government wanted to push it up to 25%. It hasn't moved. So here's the step-by-step of what India is trying to do. Step 1. Attract massive foreign investment into factories. Step 2. Move hundreds of millions of rural workers out of farms and into those factories. Step 3. Export everything from smartphones to cars to solar panels. Step 4. Use those export dollars to modernize infrastructure, education and technology. And Step 5. Become the next China. On paper, it's beautiful. In reality, there's a huge problem with every step. The world isn't the same as it was when China industrialized in the 1990s and 2000s. Back then, globalization was exploding. Every rich country wanted cheap imports. Trade barriers were coming down. Today, it's the opposite. Tariffs are going up. Countries are reshoring production. Automation means you don't need as many factory workers as you used to. A factory that would have employed 10,000 people in 1995 might only employ 1,500 today. And here's the counterintuitive truth. Even if India builds the factories, the jobs might not follow. You can grow GDP without growing employment. You can have a booming stock market, record corporate profits, and shiny new infrastructure, while millions of young graduates still can't find work. Economists call this jobless growth, and that's exactly what's happening in India right now. Section 3, the who's benefiting section. Now let's talk about the shadow player in all of this. Because when a country grows fast but not fairly, the money doesn't just disappear, it goes somewhere. And in India, it's going to a very small group of people. According to the World Inequality Report 2026, India's top 10% now earn 58% of all national income. The bottom 50%, that's over 700 million people, earn just 15%. The top 1% alone owns 40% of the country's wealth, while the bottom half owns about 4%. This makes India one of the most unequal major economies on the planet, more unequal by some measures than it was during British colonial rule. So when you hear the government say the economy grew by 7% last year, what that actually means is the top of the pyramid grew by a lot, the middle grew a little, and the bottom barely moved at all. The stock market is at record highs. Billionaires are multiplying. Luxury car sales are booming. But at the same time, a recent report found that youth unemployment sits around 14.8%, and nearly 40% of graduates between 15 and 25 can't find jobs. Think about that. You do everything your parents told you. You go to college, you get a degree, and there's no job waiting for you. Now here's how this hits the average Indian directly. When too few people are earning real money, consumer demand weakens. When demand weakens, small businesses close. When small businesses close, more people compete for fewer jobs, which pushes wages down. Which means people can't afford to buy things, which means businesses lose customers. And the whole cycle feeds on itself. Then there's the domino effect. If growth slows and the government can't hit its $5 trillion target, foreign investors get nervous. If foreign investors pull out, the rupee weakens. If the rupee weakens, imported oil and tech components get more expensive, which fuels inflation. If inflation spikes, the central bank raises interest rates. If rates go up, loans get expensive, businesses cut back, and unemployment rises further. One weak link. An entire chain of problems. And the scariest part? India has a demographic window. A massive young population that could power decades of growth if the jobs exist. But the State of Working India 2026 report basically called it a warning. After 2030, that window starts closing. If India doesn't create real, stable, middle-class jobs by then, the demographic dividend turns into a demographic burden. Hundreds of millions of frustrated, underemployed young people with no clear path forward. That's not just an economic problem. That's a social and political time bomb. Section 4. The reality check and conclusion. So here's the harsh truth. India's $5 trillion goal is not impossible. The country has the population, the talent, the tech sector, the ambition. But the strategy being used to chase that number is mostly benefiting the top 10% while leaving the bottom half behind. And if you grow the GDP number without growing jobs, wages, and opportunities for regular people, you don't build a developed nation. You build a rich country full of poor people, a skyline full of glass towers with slums in the shadows. The real question isn't whether India will hit $5 trillion. It probably will, eventually, maybe a few years late. The real question is, what kind of country will it be when it gets there? A place where a rising tide genuinely lifts all boats? Or a place where a few mega yachts sail while everyone else tries not to drown? There are things that could fix this. Massive investment in manufacturing that actually creates jobs, not just factories. A real overhaul of the education system to match what employers need. Progressive taxation so the ultra-wealthy contribute their share. Better social safety nets for gig workers and informal laborers. These are not radical ideas. They're what every successful developed country has done at some point. The question is whether India will do them in time. And this isn't just an India story. The entire world is watching this experiment. Because if the world's largest democracy, with the world's largest young population, can't figure out how to grow an economy that actually works for its people, that's a warning for every country trying to follow the same playbook. So here's my question for you. Do you think India can hit its $5 trillion target without leaving half the country behind? Or is this dream already quietly backfiring? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get a real conversation going. If you made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns like this one. I'll catch you in the next video.